Hey guys, you're here with Death by Rage Quit. We're going to talk a little bit about Skarner today. First off, let's start out with your general rating of him. For me, well, actually, let me start it out because I actually have a rating this week. I haven't just, hey now. I'm not just coming from the angle of playing against him. I actually played him a lot this week, and I actually really did enjoy him. I gave him a 9. He's probably my second favorite jungler. And I primarily play jungle. He might be up there as number 1 because I think, depending on the team makeup, he's more viable than Nocturne, I think, in some situations. So
he can take out minions a lot easier.
Well, I think Nocturne's got pretty good clearing. I'll get into that, but let's go ahead.
I rate him a 7. He's not my favorite champion, but he's not my least favorite champion. He's like a range of I'll play him.
He's okay.
He's okay.
Opinion. 7 is okay in your book.
7's okay.
Instead of 5.
Yeah, 5 is okay.
Okay. Maybe we should rate this on a 1 to 5 scale.
Yeah, then he'll be a 3.
It's in between.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
I'd rate him 9 because he's my favorite. I did a lot more support than jungle. I would tank and deal a lot of damage to my opponents and then have them finish them off.
Okay.
I rated him a 10. I didn't think I was going to like him as much as I did, but I didn't go tank, but I went AP Skarner and I fell in love with him. I think he could be a pretty valuable mid.
Wow. Yeah, see, so that's pretty interesting. I thought he was pretty good. Just going back into the Nocturne versus Skarner issue with jungle, I think the difference is that Nocturne, I think he's great. If you need a damage-dealing champion, Nocturne's excellent for that. But where I found that Nocturne is weak in is whenever your top lane goes something other than a tank. And then your team either doesn't have a tank or sometimes they need an off tank. I think that's where Skarner's good at. So that was for me. I think he's probably one of the better tanks I've even played for various reasons, but I actually liked him a lot as a tank. What are some other pros that you guys have for him?
If you go AP Skarner like James did over here, he is really good. His exoskeleton has a lot of shield, has a big shield, and his fracture, his E, does a lot of damage. And you could just take out someone's health really quick with that. Or if, like I said, with his W, he can run away if need be.
So which lane did you go with him?
I usually went top or bot with him.
Really? Okay. So all of us kind of used him in different ways, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
What about you? You have any pros for him?
Support attack damage. Whenever I built that, I would try to get his Crystal Slash, his Q, up so that I could come in and attack them, and then once I still had that up still, I can attack them again, and it's an extra 40% of ability power.
Cool.
Yeah, it was nice. That's nice with slowing them down.
Yeah, slows them down a bit. Not too much.
Up to 40%.
It's enough.
It can make or break a team fight.
Yeah.
But I think it's real game-changing mechanics, his ult.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you get any champions that have a speed boost, like Jace or Sona or anyone that could be really dangerous because you go through the Jace gate, drag the whatever champion you catch.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I remember right, you can actually use your ult, use your Crystal Skeleton for the movement speed, and go through a Jace gate, and you're dragging them at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Wherever you want.
Yeah, I think about the range that Blitzcrank has. He probably has the longest pull, but I bet Skarner's where he drags them, the length that he can drag them is probably further. Do you think?
Yeah.
I think it's a little shorter.
A little shorter, maybe?
Yeah.
Especially if they got a Merc Shreds or...
Yeah, it's a 1 3/4 second drag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about it,
It seemed
though,
like a
is
pretty long distance to me whenever I was playing.
Yeah.
when Blitzcrank pulls them, can they attack still, use their abilities, or are they?
I think they're stunned for a little bit.
Stunned, yeah, but it's pretty quick. And
Yeah, with Skarner's, he actually does damage while they're impaled, too.
the one thing I liked about it is, like AD carry, sometimes if you're playing like Blitzcrank, they'll try and hide behind like their minions or something like that. It doesn't matter with Skarner because you just walk up to him and you select which guy you want to grab and you drag him, you know.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a huge benefit. And like you guys were saying, I think that's what changes the whole dynamic of a team fight. So
Yeah.
you can take their AD carry and drag him over to your team. You know, and,
Or you can take out the tank for X amount of time and take out the AD carry without
Yeah.
worry, if your tank is still up.
yeah. Anything else anybody wants to add about pros, cons?
I feel that he's slow unless you have if you have blue buff and you have your crystalline exoskeleton up all the time.
So that's a con, right?
Yeah,
You're saying that's
he's
probably
a little slow.
He is
Yeah.
kind of slow.
I always grabbed boots of mobility with him
Yeah.
just so I can counteract that.
I felt like since I was building tank, and a lot of times you get yelled at if you're a jungler and you're not trying to gank all the time. I mean, people are just. But I think his weakness is that you really can't gank very well with him unless you're level 6.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't deal enough damage.
Your
All of his
cannon's slow
abilities, all of his abilities are geared towards, I think, tanking for the most part, other than
and a little bit of sustainability.
yeah. So
That's where that support comes into play.
yeah.
Yep.
So what are some other cons maybe that you guys have for him? Things that you didn't like about him?
His mana regen.
Yeah, it is kind of slow.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I would say his mana period, too.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
has a small mana pool at the beginning,
right.
which I always find to be a hassle for staying in lane.
Yeah. It was a hassle for jungling too, because if you don't get a good leash at the very beginning, it's hard. Because then you got to go back, and you got to recall, and you got to come back out, and
Yeah, that takes time out.
You're playing from behind at that point. If you don't get a good leash and you don't get your blue,
Yeah.
you better make sure that the other team doesn't steal it. So
I didn't have that much of a problem with mana just because I'm used to playing mid champions and dealing with all the mana pools.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I thought it was fine. So
You didn't really notice the difference in him, really?
I did notice that it does go down quite fast, and it does take a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Especially if you're using his the fracture a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That uses a ton of mana, it seems like. So
I didn't use that too much unless I need to get a last in hit as they're trying to escape.
Yeah.
yeah,
I used it to heal up all the damage that I took because you can pretty much hit the whole creep wave and then just go into the middle of them and queue it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Then you
then
get all your health back almost.
Yeah, there was actually a recommended build which suggested for jungling that you not get your fracture until late, like level 12. Like they didn't even get it
Yeah.
until
That's where
later.
I got my go with the crystal slash, and then to your exoskeleton back and forth until you got
Yeah,
your R,
yeah,
which is your ultimate, and then get my E.
yeah. I actually didn't like that. Well, I tried it a few times. I didn't like it. I think fracture allows you to stay in your jungle a little bit longer because you're healing yourself. So you have your W, the exoskeleton.
Yeah, I think
To-
his E is very underestimated in its burst and its sustainability.
Even if you're going as a tank, I still recommend getting that ability a little earlier, not late.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't put all my points into it. I think I got it at 3, I believe, and then just left it there until later on in the game. But that was for me as a jungler. So,
Yeah.
and I was going as tank, not AP.
yeah, when I did it, I usually max that out first
Yeah.
until I get up to 3 or 4. Then I would get to interchange it with my W and my E.
Yeah,
And I usually get the Q last.
yeah,
I just mainly got it for the get the Q for the fracture and get the heal.
yeah. My only other piece of advice, if you're going in to play with him, realize that he's almost, if you're going to play a tank with him anyway, I think he's almost like a support champion almost. Don't plan on getting a ton of kills.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
He's more of
Get
a
assists.
utility
Yeah.
jungler.
Yeah, and I think that was my first. That's first what I thought of him was like, okay, I'm going to get a ton of kills with this guy. Then as I kept playing him, I was like, well, he didn't really play that way. A lot of times you're just dragging the opponent's AD carry or their squishy champion over to your team, so that your team can kill them, not you.
Yeah.
A lot of times, and so you have to realize that hey, that's your role. But I think that's a beneficial role for your team. It can totally change a team fight whenever you're 5-on-5 mid lane, and you grab their champion, pull him to your side, and you kill him. Now it's 4v5.
Yeah.
You just gave your team the advantage. So realize that that's where you're coming from. So that'd be my only other advice. Anything else?
I think one of the reasons, like, I've seen a drop off in popularity with Skarner in terms of the LCS and the tournaments, and I think one of the reasons is because people are gearing more towards offensive tank junglers that stack a lot of health and can still deal out the damage.
Yeah.
So I think
And
he's not unplayable, but I think he's dropped in popularity a bit.
yeah.
Yeah. He has.
But that
Yeah, I
might be a
haven't seen
good thing
as
because
much.
then you get underestimated.
Yeah.
And then they won't worry about you. And once you come in and whip their tail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I see in ranked matches, I see Blitzcrank banned a ton. And for me, I'm like, I'd rather play against Blitzcrank, I think, right now than I would Skarner. And, that's just my opinion, just based on his abilities and stuff that he can do. You can I mean, yeah, good Blitzcrank, they usually get some pulls, but
Yeah.
I think Skarner, his pulls are a lot harder to avoid. So
Yeah.
that's the problem. But yeah, okay. We only have a few more minutes here. Let's go to our role play scenarios. I wrote down 3 champions. And one that we haven't really talked about, Nasus. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah. No.
Hey.
Oh, goodness.
Let's. Okay, you're going top lane probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Skarner, what do you? How do you combat Nasus?
I would
I'd say you harass him early on until he gets his wither, and then he just stomps you because your whole passive is you auto attack, and then your cooldowns get reduced. But with Nos, it's the wither totally shuts down your attack speed. It's just hard to get anything back at him.
That's why.
I would call him ganks all the time.
I would poke him a lot and just run away. Poke run with his E.
And if he gets you slowed down, then pull up your armor so that you have some health.
Some health and some movement speed again.
But yeah.
I would also try my best not to let him farm up that Q.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
If you let him farm up that Q,
it's over. Huh?
Game's
Best
over.
things.
Game's over.
All right. What about Ezreal? We have about one more minute. Or actually, let's go with Morgana. You guys were talking about mid laning with him. AP Morgana might be a champion that you see mid lane. Fairly tanky yourself for a mid champion, I think.
Haven't got to play against her as Skarner yet, so I wouldn't.
I think she can counteract him a bit, but I think you're going to win that lane. But
Yeah.
her counteraction is she could possibly shut down your ult by using her spell shield on another champion. So there's always that. If she's fast enough, she can negate your ult completely.
Yeah, it's she's annoying like that.
Yeah.
Also, that Q is not hard to dodge, but it's annoying when you get caught by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. We only have about 15 minutes to do these, so hopefully you got a lot of useful information out of that. I think there was some useful information in this one for sure. So
Yeah. Just a little
I think we're coming from the angle that we really enjoyed him. We recommend him as a champion. So we'd like to hear back from you, your thoughts on what we're doing at Death by Rage Quit. So we appreciate you watching. Thanks.